This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hey, D, what's up?
Hey, B. Did I catch you? Can you talk for a second?
Yeah, I got about 5. Shoot.
So, what are
Yup.
you doing May 8th?
Okay, well, I'm supposed to go on a golf course with Woody on the 9th, but I can
Let me cut to it.
All right.
You know, I'm dating Ashton Kutcher now of Punk'd.
Yeah. I watched that show a couple times with my latest 21-year-old girlfriend. She likes that kind of stuff.
So, I was thinking, and this is totally fucking crazy maybe, but I think this would be really cool. Charlie's premiere. I bring Ashton, I bring the kids love him, and I would love to have you and Emilia also come.
You know what, D? Sure, shoot. Why the fuck not? Let's do it. It's 2004. Blended is the new non-blended.
And McG, then we're all gonna do a big dinner at McG's after.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just let him know no salmon. I'm on a no fish diet right now.
Okay, awesome, Bruce. I have to go.
Cool. Thanks, D. Talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Who's that knocking at the door? It's all your friends, you filthy whore. Your husband's gone and we've got books and a bottle of wine to kill.
It's Hollywood.
It's books.
It's gossip.
I'm shook.
It's memoirs.
It's martinis.
It's Studio 54.
It's Celebrity Book Club. Come read it while it's hot. Celebrity Book Club. Tell your secrets, we won't talk. Celebrity Book Club. No boys are allowed. Celebrity Book Club. Say it loud and proud. Celebrity Book Club.
Buzz me in. I brought the Cuervo.
Podcast Vibes! I'm Steven.
And I'm Lily.
And this is Celebrity Book Club.
The podcast where we
read celebrity memoirs so you don't have to. Hey, best friend.
Hey, best friend. Oh my God, I'm so glad we're talking about this book.
I could not be more excited to talk about this. This actually is, I know we say this every time, but this book, A, was insanely good. B, was the most insane book I've ever read.
This is my favorite book of the past decade.
I could not put it down. It was one of those books where I was just like, it's 3 a.m., it's 4 a.m., I'm still flipping the pages.
Matter.
I'm just like, I'm finished it in one day.
This is one of those books, and this is, I think, so rare for us when you're out and about, and actually all you want to do is go home and read.
Is literally run home and read like a fucking loser.
Right. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was a freaking nerd, but I guess I am.
So the book is Demi Moore, Inside Out. It is a memoir of drugs and marriage and cheating and scandal and Hollywood.
And Roswell, New Mexico.
So Demi Moore, obviously iconic Hollywood actress of the 80s, 90s, 2000s.
And then a little bit not of the...
Right, and then she kind of went away.
She took it to Iowa. She took it to her kids.
Well, Idaho, actually.
Right. States.
Always get those confused.
It's hard to mix up.
She, of course, is famous for her role in St. Elmo's Fire.
Which I just watched.
You have never seen that.
Well, I just watched it this past weekend.
And it's good.
It's actually kind of not.
Kind of boring.
Now, do you say Demi or do you say Demi?
Okay, I actually don't know. And I remember being a kid and my brother saying Demi and it being kind of this he referred to her as this sex goddess. And it was just okay, so men think Demi is what a hot person is. And me as growing up to be a heterosexual, I was okay, that's what beauty is. But I
kind
really
of
don't know.
Forgot how hot she was, and then reading this book and looking at all these photos of her, I'm
you're fucking sprung.
Yeah, I was sprung, dude. This book spank bank.
No, for
the
sure.
Inner pages, the
dude,
inner glosses.
I don't go that way, but if I did, fuck, dude, I get on her like white on rice.
Okay.
So Brat Pack. The sort of iconic crew of other
Rob
80s actors.
Lowe, Emilio Estevez.
Who else is in the Brat Pack?
Judd Nelson. I mean,
okay.
kind
it was
of
just
Ali
everyone
Sheedy.
who was in the Breakfast Club, basically.
Yes, and St. Elmo's Fire is basically all of Breakfast Club. And then we get 90s. It's G.I. Jane. It's striptease.
And she became this really potent sex symbol, leading lady, sexual agency, firecracker bombshell.
I feel so many trailers of movies you would see her in, it's all basically these training scenes of her body, whether it's G.I. Jane, she's training, or it's striptease, and she's
stripping,
kind of rocking.
She's in Indecent Proposal, which is very Basic Instinct.
But also iconic Vanity Fair. Remember, she did the nude cover.
Right, which was very the beginning of this whole thing of people being can women be
working and pregnant?
Can they be working
and
and
sexual?
pregnant?
Is it possible to work and be sexy at the same time?
Yeah.
We'll find out.
It was she was very iconic figure for those reasons. And then
married Bruce Willis, and they were this hot 90s power couple.
Tabloid fodder. Annie Leibovitz, then married Ashton Kutcher in the 2000s.
And that, I mean,
She kind
do
of
you
invented the
remember
modern tabloid era of like
Us Weekly, Life and Style?
And honey, tongues were a wagging, a 15-year age difference.
And we didn't see that. A woman
right.
dating a younger man?
How is that possible? People
can't
said,
be.
what's she doing? What moisturizer
Mother
is
of
she
3.
using? Right.
You know,
Why
they
would
were
a
closer to
25-year-old ever want 40-year-old pussy?
Ashton,
Right.
you know.
She invented the term cougar. So
she's
she
an
is
icon.
deeply iconic. In the late 2000s,
She kind of receded.
She kind of receded. And then the story came out. She was like rushed to the hospital. She OD'd on synthetic pot, like at her daughter's house. And it was just very like the tragic fall of Demi Moore. And it was like what happened to her. And it was right after Ashton and her had broken up and there were cheating rumors. And she really kind of spiraled out of control. And that's where the book starts.
She also, I think, feel like before that wasn't even like besides Charlie's Angels, like she'd basically kind of retired from acting a bit anyway. And so since then, I mean, we haven't really heard from her. And then I feel like why we chose this book, we just started to hear the trades.
Right.
You know, people were abuzz.
People were buzzed, and they said that it was like full of all this stuff about their marriages, which we want to know the dirt, obviously. Which
that
we'll
was the
get
first thing. It was
into.
like, you're going to hear about Ashton and Demi's threesome.
But then people said it was really a testament to vulnerability. And we love getting raw. We love
love
getting
getting raw.
personal, honey.
I wouldn't even say that it's like, obviously we love Demi, but I wouldn't just think that like either of us are always like, oh, fuck, like Demi is my queen.
Absolutely not. Like, we're just like, we love J-Lo, we love Cameron Diaz, but like, she's not someone you think about that often because I would say like none of her individual movies are that iconic on their own, but like she became this iconic force that I think moved beyond them.
And all those movies, I feel like were a little
isn't something a movie that people really still talk about.
Right. It was like in the time, and it's like we would be like 10 and seeing a trailer for G.I. Jane, and that is such a like memory burned into me at Hollywood
absolutely.
Express, being like, oh, I want to rent G.I. Jane. I'm sure just like my dad was like, you can't rent G.I. Jane. And I remember seeing Indecent Proposal on TV, and I was like, damn, this movie is sexy.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, wait, I can't believe I'm like allowed to be even like watching this. And I felt naughty for watching it.
Naughty little girl. I remember seeing Shawshank Redemption as like a very young boy and being very sort of traumatized by the opening scene where there's like sex happening. And I was like,
because you were one of those gay guys
who was really puritanical.
Yeah, who when they saw sex scenes, like freaked out and cried.
Yeah.
I remember this once at this like family reunion, this sexy Haagen-Dazs commercial came on, and my cousin Ryan screamed and ran out of the room, and I was like, okay, loser.
So let's just
jump
dive
in.
So what I love about this book is, so first of all, she has this absolutely psychotic childhood that is the most gritty Didion meets Hunter S. Thompson childhood ever. Her parents are these like full grifters who are always fighting.
Cashing bad checks.
Literally every scene is like, she grew up in Roswell, New Mexico, which is insane.
Her parents got married at like 16.
And
then, her dad is not even her dad, and that's like a whole scandal.
And she finds that out later. But literally every scene is like, Daddy was on the run from Con Ed. Like, he'd catch 7 bad checks under 6 aliases. Mama was drinking again. We hit the road in an old Cadillac. We didn't know where we were going. We just drove.
And then she's like, well, and then Mama took us out and she said, we're going to D's. And we left Daddy in a hurry. But come spring, Daddy was calling Mom. And she ran back to
and like
them.
the mom is always like hair and rollers, like smoking a cigarette and like in a robe, like drunk in the middle of the day.
The
dad's always drunk in the middle of the day.
AMC show about like the 60s weren't what you thought.
No, it really is. And it's just
everyone's
like, and it's so like sun-soaked. There's like so much ice jingling. There's so many like big wide American cars
and, like,
and open road.
Cigarettes
And
constantly.
there's nowhere to go in this shit town.
And so I was like, yeah, we moved around a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like is so.
We got used to packing our bags fast.
She's one of those people, and I feel like this is so a theme that we've been seeing in like a lot of celebrity memoirs where they're like, what did I look like as a kid? I was just this scrawny kid with jet black hair and big brown eyes. And it's like, you mean you were hot.
You were hot.
And then you grew up to be hot.
And you grew up to be hot. And they're always just like, I was super gangly and awkward and lanky. It's
so
like,
what I get is you were tall and
like,
thin.
I was weird. I was so tall. All the kids made fun of me for being so tall and thin.
And they're like, yeah, I had this kind of gorgeous olive complexion. And again, I was thin. And
okay, you know what's insane? In Disclosure, this insane movie that everyone needs to see that's like a reverse Me Too, where she falsely accuses Michael Douglas of rape, and they work at a software company in Seattle in the 90s. And she's this ball-busting, like, power software executive.
Fab.
It's so fab. But her character is a former Miss Teen New Mexico.
And in Striptease, she's a former secretary for the FBI. Like, her roles are so
She's very former.
Yeah. What did I used to do? Sure. I used to work at Exxon as an executive. Yeah, now I'm a soldier.
Well, I think she obviously really does people who have been cast aside and forgotten and been shortchanged by life, because she was. And she was always having to fend for herself. And her parents were just like both insane, messy alcoholics. And she was basically raising herself or having her grandmother around.
Right. To jump ahead, she moves to Hollywood and she's like moving in with guys at 16. But what's crazy is like when she's moving in with a rocker at 16 and the guy is 28, that's still more normal than her.
Oh, I know. And she's being like, he was super nice and it was really normal.
And it was fine. You're like,
can I read this passage? So when her mom and her live in LA and they pick up guys together at the bar, they were always men. Oh, she calls her mom Ginny.
Yeah, she calls her parents by
their first names because she's very not like seeing them
right, being
in
like mom,
paternal or maternal way. They were always men. Ginny and I got a lot of attention from them when we went out together at night. I remember sitting at the bar at Carlos and Charlie's, a trendy Mexican restaurant in West Hollywood. She was drinking too much, and I and the guys at the bar flirtatiously. Whenever I recognized her boozy, blousy, come-hither look setting in, I cringed. One of the men took the bait and came over to us. Are you two sisters, he asked. It was Ginny's favorite question. No, she grinned. This is my daughter. And it's just like, this is every passage in the book. It's just like dripping with this 70s naughty intrigue.
Okay, and then I know I'm just like...
sidebar for a second about the writing. So let's just talk for a second. This book is actually
so
fully
well-written
ghostwritten by Ariel Levy of The New Yorker. And it's so ghostwritten that it doesn't even say it on the cover. It doesn't even say with.
Right.
And then you notice in the acknowledgments, she's the first person she thanks. Like the first person acknowledges, Ariel Levy, there are no words to describe my gratitude to you for helping make this book a reality. You saw all the pieces as gems and showed me through your mastery how to weave them into a tapestry. It's like she actually just fully wrote it.
Yeah, it's like obviously what happened, it was probably so Auntie Mame and they just like were like, Demi, Google voice this.
I think they like sat together and had hummus
Oh
and
no, for sure.
tapas and wine, and the wine flew, and Ariel's just like sitting on her
actually
laptop.
the wine
like,
didn't fly because she is sober.
Sorry, and she is sober now, and I do take that back.
Yeah.
But she's like typing away, and Demi's just like, oh, that's exactly right. Thank you for capturing that. And she was just being like, thanks for helping me weave.
And
it's
don't
just
you
like,
think she
did
was
write
on her iPad and being like big black frame glasses at home in Idaho? And she's like
reading
making
passages that Ariel
and
wrote,
she
just
was
like making little notes.
Making little notes and
Sorry,
then writing.
so you just did a motion where you licked your finger to turn the iPad? Is that what you just did? Okay.
Or she has it printed out and she's printing it out in her home office and she's reading through the notes.
She's definitely printing out in her home office.
Okay, so if we're going to go into the Ariel Levy stuff,
let's get into the Ariel
then I
Levy
want to
stuff.
talk about another part of the acknowledgments.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Absolutely. No,
okay,
that's
so
fine.
the choice of Ariel Levy. Wonderful New Yorker writer.
Sure. Right.
I guess I haven't read her stuff.
Yeah, you're a subscriber. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't really read an Ariel Levy article, but so I'm sure she picked her because like cool, she's a great writer, but also so Ariel Levy is openly bisexual.
So what are you saying?
So here's the thing.
Oh, you think Demi Moore might be demisexual?
I'm in this lesbian Insta chat called Provocations.
Okay, we're listening.
And months ago, kind of some gossip was broke that Demi is with a woman.
What?
Named Masha.
Oh, wait a minute. She talks about Masha.
Yes, bitch. That's what I'm saying.
Wait.
Who has a child, and they basically have a child together. And she thanks her in the acknowledgments and said, your child is like mine.
Wait. The woman who grew up in like communist Russia and who wasn't used to seeing so many presents under the tree.
And she's like an insane Shane
and now
stylist.
she's seen the presents under Demi's
If you
tree.
just Google Demi Masha, it's like this insane Shane stylist. And
so
it's
she's
like,
so spiky hair and like big button down?
And like big wide hat. So I'm just like, okay, Demi, now that you're in the like LA media lesbian
Wait, and you heard this in your lesbian secret group gossip chat?
Yeah. Anyway, but it's like in the tabs. It's not like this is not so secret.
Oh, okay. Oh, and so this girl is like denim jacket, beanie pushback. I mean, she basically looks like Penn Badgley.
It's like so LA, like
It's
Coachella
very LA.
lesbian.
I mean, this is the most like Ashton Kutcher lesbian I've ever seen. Okay.
Big, like
this
huge,
is not a big
wide...
stretch for her to go from Ashton to this lesbian.
No. To be, and it's so Fred Siegel denim, this woman.
It's very the denim girls at Fred Siegel, who my cousin had actually a rivalry with. And she said that they were total bitches when she worked in the men's section.
So I don't know if her and Masha are still together, but basically in the book, in the last chapter, when she's like, Demi is like, all is well and good now, and me and Bruce are close, and my friend Masha comes over for Christmas with her child, who I consider my own.
She's addicted to blended families.
Yes.
She is so, I mean, she basically invented blended. Like when she went on the Charlie's premiere and she brought Bruce and Ashton and their kids.
Right.
And we're
yes.
all holding hands and with this big, happy, transparent, like poly family.
I do that at a podcast premiere. I bring...
Oh wait, your ex's new husband, his kid
child,
with his ex,
both cats, Cheech and Orzo come
on leases, hissing
That's
away.
Cute, actually.
Dream premiere.
Anyway, who knows? Maybe Masha and Demi have broken up, but I do just wonder. Whatever, now that she dated this lesbian stylist, is there a reason she chose this bisexual New Yorker writer?
So you think they're also fucking?
No, I just think it's like gay stuff.
She's in the LGBT community, if you will.
I think they're at Dana's bar to do a L Word Generation Q reference here.
Right.
Okay, back to...
Away from bisexual land.
Yes.
Back to Demi. So then she moves to LA and she starts to become famous. She gets roles. Okay, when she's living at that apartment that's so Melrose Place, and that girl who was in the Roman Polanski movie is like her neighbor and they're running lines, and it's like sexy.
Everything is
Everything is like so just like
Melrose Place
in sex.
She's like always in complexes. She's always like moving in with her synth boyfriend.
Can I say something? I'm so jealous of all her boyfriends.
But you know, you say you're jealous.
Yeah, I am. Because she like she's like dating this guy who's like this musician. He takes her to a show. She goes to this concert with the one guy she's dating.
And then
falls in love with
guy.
the lead singer, hooks up with him in the bathroom, and then she moves in with that guy like 3 weeks later. I'm so jealous of that. The bravery, the boldness.
She was clearly so broken though.
I know, but she followed her heart and she wasn't thinking like, oh, I shouldn't do that, you know? Like,
no, it actually is cool because she was with like a guy for 6 years and then she like meets another rocker.
But you know when you're agonizing over whether or not to break up with someone for like 2 years? or like maybe 5. I feel like she's not doing that.
What else could you be talking about?
Yes, her marriage to Bruce
yes.
like had sort of a long period of like kind of...
Well, you know why? Because I think she grew up in this way where you're ready to run, actually.
Yeah, you pack your bags when you're ready to run. And she was used to that. But that does like that sort of impulsivity, it gives you more experiences. You get to run out there.
She sure had a lot of experiences. I wouldn't also say that you're not living that life.
I guess, but
you're like, oh, I'm so jealous of the fact that she was like at a club and met a guy. Obviously, we both want to be living in like 93, going to go sees and auditions.
I know. I mean, when someone's mom
you had your headshot.
could get you a job as the receptionist at Warner Brothers, and that would get your foot in the door.
But I guess in that note, I just do want to kind of like bring up my emoji sad face like part where it's just like
the rape.
Yeah. It's so depressing. And her mom like semi-sells her to this man. And like that is the other side of the Sunset Strip.
Yeah. And just for our listeners, on Lily's notes, she wrote her rape/twisted parents and then a frowny face emoji. So she would remind herself to feel sad.
It wasn't a reminder. It was honestly just kind of a instant reaction.
Oh, okay. Because you think in emojis because you're such a zoomer.
Let me find one.
So it's like a family friend or not even really a family friend. This like random guy. I mean, the parents are
and he is
not
like
really
promising that he'll like get her roles or whatever.
And he like takes her to lunch a few times. He like drives her home a few times. And then she's just like in the apartment one day when she gets home and he's already there.
And her mom has given the guy keys.
Right.
And then he comes and then like does rape her. And then he comes back later and says to her, how does it feel to be whored by your mother for $500?
Oh, God.
Can you imagine?
It's so fucking dark and insane. Whored me out for 500?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that number would not be the number.
You think she would, but for a higher number.
She would do it because it was like, it was the only way I could get a new well dug on my property. It would be some like really
I needed
obscure
a new
Renault.
fireplace.
The jacuzzi people weren't coming. Yeah.
Anyway, it's so fucked up. And
It's really fucked up. And and she describes it in this very impactful way. And she's just being like, I didn't even know it was happening. And like, I don't really remember the sequence of events, but it's an insane thing that happens to you that like you're just always traumatized by and you don't know until it happens. And then you're like, is it my fault? And like the parents weren't there and just
And
like,
she continues to kind of like have this on and off relationship with her mom. And like her mom is always selling stories to the paparazzi about her and Bruce.
And then later the mom poses for nude pictures.
Oh yeah, that was
and sells
fucking
them to the
crazy.
tabloids.
And she was like, I can do it too.
And Demi Moore's just like, honestly, as weird as it is, that was the thing that set me over the edge. And she like does acknowledge that it's weird. That was just so awkward. And it's like embarrassing for my kids. And it's just like her old ass mom, nude and like smoking and drunk.
Instead of just like asking Demi for money, was like redo your iconic photo shoot. Okay, you also again, comparison. Wait, your mom redoing a tall coal photo shoot.
I mean, that would be really funny. Okay, the trip to Brazil sounds like the most fun thing that's ever happened to anyone. She shoots this.
It was her big break.
Her big break was called Blame It on Rio. She goes to Brazil. She like befriends this local named Zeze. And she's like, we're still good friends today.
Yeah,
like,
just
who?
like,
she like,
Zeze is beyond
fabulous. She was like, we were doing tons of coke.
Like
my nostrils like
coke.
absolutely disintegrated during this trip. Like I like had an affair with like this like hot local Brazilian. She's like living in a hotel for 3 months, just like running around Rio.
Lines, like
rally lines. I'm just like, this is the most fun thing that's ever happened.
I want
to
run around Rio.
Yeah.
I feel like in my mind, also as a child, like I imagined Rio to be the sexiest place. I also had a Brazilian jazz babysitter growing up.
Who you wanted to fuck? Oh, wait, that's why you love jazz so much nowadays.
Yeah, well, a lot of my babysitters were like jazz students at Berklee School of Music.
Oh, because it was
so that's why I love jazz.
It's more proximity. Got it. Okay, well, you like what you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, also, so one thing she doesn't, she has a lot of loves in this book.
Many loves.
Bruce Willis, Ashton Kutcher, Emilio Estevez, Freddie,
Rob Lowe, supposedly.
Rob Lowe. Oh, so I love this part where she talks about briefly dating Rob Lowe, and she's like, I don't really remember, but he says we did, so sure.
It's probably my favorite part of the book. And she references his memoir, which now we have to read because she's like, yeah, in his memoir, he talks all about how we used to date, but I literally don't remember.
And she was like, maybe there was one late night rendezvous. I guess it meant a lot to him, which is super sweet. It's
and that's cute. It is weird
really
watching St. Elmo's fire back to that for a second. Is like, she talks about how sweet Emilio was, and he sounded definitely like a rock to her. But like Rob Lowe is so hot, and he plays like the cat in the movie. And Emilio Estevez, I find so sexually unappealing.
Interesting. So this brings me to my next point, which is the dick size of all the men in the book. So I've curated a list here.
Okay, I'm gonna briefly with my dick knowledge.
Yeah. Okay. So I've decided that Emilio, based on her description of him as a solid rock, to me that's 6 and thick. You know what I mean? It's a sturdy dick. And it's just nice all around, and it gets the job done, and it's really, really dependable. Bruce, to me, is 7 and thick. It's a dad dick, is what we call a dad dick.
I mean, I imagine that. He's like the classic hot dad. He's 501s.
And dad dick is like when you're a kid and you see your dad's dick, it's always big because you're a kid. And like a guy with a dad dick just like has this dick that's like always big. And it's like big when it's flaccid. It's a shower, not a grower, per se. So you agree?
I absolutely agree. It just seems so like sturdy, getting my Chevy Romero. And I mean, their passion was wild. Oh, wait, this is where I got jealous.
Oh, when he pulls up beside her in the limo?
With John Goodman, Woody Harrelson.
Insane.
And they're all like screaming out of the sunroof. The night they meet at this premiere, she's like driving home in her car. The Bruce limo pulls up beside her on the highway in a limo, is out the sunroof. Woody Harrelson,
John Goodman. And he's just being like, hey, Demi!
And like squad, and like they follow her. And I'm like, okay, that's so iconic. So cool.
And again, it's very pre-cell phone.
Right.
You don't do that anymore.
You don't just text someone, hey, you follow them in your limo.
And she was like, it was the days before every celebrity was in an SUV.
And I would say Bruce Willis like made I don't know. He was so bald, and people were like, he's sexy.
He invented
Made
men
bald.
being hot and bald.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't really done a lot, like,
Right.
since Bruce Willis' baldness. There hasn't been a lot
No,
of
he
evolution.
really owned it. Like,
he kind of
there
owned
were
it. I don't know
other
who
bald
else
guys,
has really, like
The Rock.
I guess that would be the evolution to today. It's
But
just
that's so, like-
you just become a full bodybuilder about it.
He's just so bodybuilder and like careless.
Yeah.
Weird. So Ashton, I feel like Ashton's. It's
Well,
not that
let's
like.
see what you think here. I'm curious.
I think his dick is like long,
Yeah.
but kind of thin.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Okay.
I was like, oh, we're on the same page.
Oh my god.
So-
Okay, I'm straight.
okay.
And I just feel like he was probably really
No,
good in bed, and
8
they
on
had
the thin side, curved down.
and they had like really good connection. He was like very vivacious and
Yeah.
probably ate her out for hours.
No, when she talks about like their absolute wild sexual chemistry when they're like just going to Canyon Ranch for like 5 days and never leaving bed.
Right.
I know, I'm sure. And also like obviously Bruce is so 90s and like not really eating a woman out.
No, I'm sure like
And
they
so-
fucked for like 12 minutes at the
Absolutely.
longest.
Solid
And-
12.
And then he's like, all right, so 90s, opening up the fridge, like being like, can I get you, babe?
Yeah.
After.
For sure. Grabbing two
Eat some
brewskis.
cereal.
Yes.
Eating cereal.
Eating
on
cereal
the
in a big
bed,
shirt and Bruce
white
Willis's big white
sheets.
button down. Ugh. Okay, I see. Like I still want the Bruce Willis dad dick even after Ashton Kutcher eating me out with his long thin dick for 5 hours. Because after 5 hours, you're like, okay, I think it's eaten.
Yeah. I've been ate.
Just to go back, obviously that
I feel like
first
Rob Lowe
guy-
has a small dick.
Oh, for sure. It's
And that's why she
so
doesn't
pointy
remember.
and to the side.
And he like, yes, he's like hot and like can chat, but was just
And
like,
his
doing
dick
so
has only
much
gotten pointier over the course of his career.
pointier. All right, how big is Masha, the lesbian stylist, strap on?
Oh, her strap?
Is it funky color? Is it purple?
Isn't she so modern and it's like the most like non-realistic, like it's blue and
Yeah, I feel like it's
purple.
very
it's
LA
like
blue.
diagonal. It does like it's barely even phallic shaped. It's like
No, I think it absolutely is phallic shape. I just think it's like pink. Oh, it's a glass dildo,
oh my god, that's terrifying.
which like our friend Alex is always saying like how much she loves because you can freeze it, and I'm like, why is that hot? Like a frozen glass dildo. She's, you have to try it. I was like, I'm actually good.
Oh my god. She
I
wants
just-
literally ice in her pussy. Nothing turns me on like an ice cold
Icy.
dick.
Like I get ready.
That
the whole
cryo fuck.
so Austin Powers.
Oh god.
Dr. Evil.
That's so. I
vibes.
mean, like when a cold hand touches me, I shiver.
Right. You don't want it just like cold all inside of you.
Yeah.
Then you're like Burm or blankets. I love when Demi just describes what Punked is.
Oh,
She's like, so Punked was an amazing show that Ashton had where he did
that
hidden
aired from
camera
2005
tricks.
to 2008, and I was just so impressed with him for having his own. Oh, wait, we have to talk about Thorn. Sorry,
Wait, Thorn is like his company?
that I did the branding for.
I don't remember this.
Remember? So she at the end, she's like, and I still do love Ashton, even though we don't speak, and he did leave me and cheat on me. And I really love the work we do with our organization,
Oh, Thorn. Oh, it's just like sexual
the
advocacy.
child sexual trafficking like software for police. And I'm a copywriter, and I weirdly did the copywriting for this brand.
Okay, I totally
And I came
forgot
up
about
with the
that.
line, until every child can be a kid.
Girl, so you're like whispering that in your sexy voice. You're like, until every child.
I wasn't trying to
can
be sexy.
It just happened like that, I guess.
Anyway, that was their sort of manifesto
No,
rallying
what's
cry.
cool about Ashton is that like he's actually kind of like putting his money
No,
where
and he's putting his
mouth
money to use, and he is
is.
developing software for local police departments to track online predators.
What? And he like was the first like investor of Apple or something like that.
Yeah,
and
which
just, like,
yeah,
was
he was the
awesome.
first inventor of Apple in 1983.
I'm just saying, like he like literally invests wisely.
No, he invented TikTok. It's like
Right.
you're just like, I'm sorry, man. The man's got good investment sense.
Like I'm freaking jealous.
Celebrity Book Club.
So I had some sort of think pieces that I was sort of ruminating on. Okay, right. So it's like, so she was in all these movies. Okay, she was in Striptease. She was in Indecent Proposal. She was in G.I. Jane. And I feel like she was canonical feminist figure of the 90s that was like such a necessary vehicle to like move us through the culture wars. People thought she was so controversial in these ways that we obviously now don't think are controversial, and people panned all those films. Oh, like Indecent Proposal is bad because it's like a woman being bartered for sex or whatever.
Right.
And they weren't even viewing it in this very, very post that way. We would nowadays
Right,
we'd
where
be
it was like her own agency. Like everything was so second wave and like anti-porn and just like anti-sex work.
anti-sex.
Also, again, striptease, anti-sex work. And people
was
were
anti,
like, oh, you're selling your
what
body.
was controversial about that movie was the fact that like a mom was a stripper, which of course now would be like not controversial at all. And it seems cheesy, cloying to have that be like a plot point, be like, oh, we got it. Like she's like a really good person because she's a stripper or whatever. But it's like back then everyone was so freaked out by it.
And I feel like she's like not thankful. It's like how many memoirs do we see that are like feminists who like become strippers in like Portland and then like write about it?
And like even in the book, she kind of talks about it in this way where she's like, I didn't really get the controversy. Or like it kind of was like weird to me that was the reception, and she kind of like doesn't even really see herself as this like feminist icon who
No, she just like does her thing.
moved us through
Also,
the culture
she does
wars.
talk about, she's always like, so I got $14 million for G.I. Jane, which was the most a woman was being paid in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Bruce is getting $20 million for Die Hard 3.
Right.
But then I was panned
Right,
because
and everyone's
like,
like,
I
oh,
had a
she's
kid.
selfish, greedy more. And it's like now, obviously, like anytime a woman asks for money, it's like, didn't Michelle Williams like famously ask for that whatever that movie was, and she was like, this was just like so pre that, and I feel like Demi Moore kind of is like why she was able to be this person, because like I feel like every other actress would have been too like scared of the politics around it and not doing it. And
Well,
then,
I think then also it's like the 90s again, like so raw. It's like she didn't have a Twitter. There like was like less. There's no thing of like to like start like a million think pieces. She was like, I'm just going to do my thing.
Right.
There's going to be talk back. And she was kind of always like middle fingers up, whatever.
and then it gets to G.I. Jane. That was such a necessary film, if you will.
Absolutely. And she did. And she was like, I'm going to train for this like the guys trained for it. I'm going to do the full military training.
Because now I feel like we live in a very woke time. It's like everything is about like a woman can do anything a man can do. But like this was kind of the first door opening to that plot point. And that
especially
being
of like a woman, not only of like the plot of G.I. Jane, but how she trained for the movie.
Right. And
or
it was like,
again, dating Ashton, just like being like, yes, I'm dating this younger guy. Yes, I'm a cougar. Like
at the time, she absolutely did not get credit. And I would argue that today she's
still not
absolutely not seen as a feminist icon. She is seen as like a kind of a pulpy, like fun actress from
I feel like
her
she's
time.
kind of seen in between, but like right, like
but again,
one.
but I think because that we look at it, it's like you have to be so like overtly political and take credit for that, and
it
be
also
like
was very rare. She did like quote unquote like take a stand and like raised her kids in Idaho. I'm just saying like more ways of her just being like, I'm going to do the shoot, I'm going to date Ashton,
right.
I'm going to raise my kids in Idaho.
This sort of aloofness to the like the politics and the storylines of Hollywood, like I think like let her take these roles, but then kind of like prevented her from getting credit for being this very transformative figure. And I feel like she should get a lot more credit.
And I don't even know, even after this book, like she went on NPR and she did the circuit, and I feel like she's kind of started to get like a little bit of due, but not like enough.
Again, that's like not her style. Like she wouldn't necessarily. And like that's what we expect. We expect it to be so like J-Lo just like at the wing, just being like, and it was so important for me to do this film
As a woman.
Exactly. And to show that a woman can executive produce a film that she is starring in when she is like a multimillionaire.
And for her, like back to the pulpy one, it's like her comeback was just like being in full throttle because Drew like begged her, and she was like, you know what, fine, like this is fab.
Like,
I will.
I don't know if I want to do it though.
And then we're all just kind of like applauding, like, yes, we love Demi, but like, I don't know. It's like Demi Moore, I wouldn't even really call her a gay icon at all.
Certainly not. The gays have never really
No.
latched onto her. I mean, her films are straight.
They're
I mean,
so straight.
I will say striptease though, like the strip scenes are so fab. The dance scene is insane. She
When
only dances to Annie Lennox, which is so random. The movements are so like
wish you could see me now.
it's
okay.
really kooky. It's very like Fosse vibes. And
This
she's
is-
wearing like
the
shirts and like
most
bow
90s
and like,
thing
and, like
ever.
bowler hats.
When
and,
she's in like classic 90s, like the hottest thing ever is just for a woman to wear a big tie
Yeah.
and nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay, the scene when she's in her bedroom dancing alone, getting ready.
I love that. And she's,
That
again,
was-
dancing to Little Bird by Annie Lennox.
And I was like, ugh, I need to do this when I get out of
That
the shower.
seems really iconic, and she has all like
Also,
white
see that
lace
movie
everywhere.
because that movie is so random, and like the I would call it the stripper drama thriller version of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Okay, I don't know the plot of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
You don't?
Yeah, it's really not burned in my memory. I wasn't like such a Jim Carrey fan as a child. I know you love sort of the absurd
that
animal
movie,
stuff.
His hair kind of that started my hair.
That invented your hair.
Yeah.
I thought it was Conan O'Brien, but I guess it was.
Okay, rude.
Well, you got some Irish in you.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just saying striptease has a lot of random animals in it.
But yeah.
But yes, they're all these like steamy 90s movies with the sax where like it fades out on a yacht as someone's having sex in this super straight way.
And so, and I think that, A, gays like don't watch those movies. And then B, people dismiss the 90s as being very, they dismiss both, I think both the 80s and the 90s as being very like cheesy and like the sexuality was very kind of like lurid.
And all these movies are like pre-96.
Yeah. And like.
It's not like we're not in like a Britney era at all. We're still just like G.I. Jane, I feel like was maybe 96.
Oh, of like, you're saying Britney kind of invented the modern sexuality?
Well, I'm just saying like 98 people are like, oh my God, it was ridiculous late 90s stuff, which I feel like people are obsessed with. And
no, sure, the aesthetic is like not.
And I think people blend maybe 94
copied.
Stuff with kind of like the 80s.
Right.
Do you think Demi is gonna do kind of a comeback movie maybe in the next few years?
I mean, that really depends on sort of Masha's schedule.
Well, and the baby.
And the baby and whatnot.
I mean, I would love her too.
It doesn't seem like that's really.
I feel like she's not.
This book is just not seem like she's into making movies right now. She's very into just like her big house in Idaho and like being a mom.
And focusing.
And her big brood.
So I was wondering that part when it's like all of her children stopped talking to her.
Yeah, well, that was because she was like being so like
crazy and like addicted to Ashton.
Addicted to like, I feel like she's just probably being so annoying about
That's
Ashton.
what I think. I was like,
when someone goes through a breakup,
you're not like she's not really going through it. She's like, yeah, like first like. She stopped talking to me, then she stopped talking to me. Right. And it's like, I feel like she was probably like maybe kind of #no boundaries, like calling all of her daughters while they were like at RISD and like complaining so much and just being like, wait, so like, what do you even like think this means? That like Ashton did this and like they're all on their razors, like
and
texting.
And she's not asking them any questions about their lives.
No,
and
they're
Scout
like,
is dating at RISD.
Like doing this mixed media project.
Yeah, and they're just like, my mom is being such a pathetic loser. About
right,
this,
and they're like, I need
guy.
a break from you. And then rumors still like, well, we can hit a bong, but like, I'm going to need a break from you.
I'm going to need you to absolutely wrap it up.
But she does. She works on herself and kind of comes back from that.
I mean, the next chapter for Demi is obviously being a lesbian. I feel like that's sort of...
That's the chapter.
Is that the future for her?
But the goss I heard is I think like...
Oh, it's over.
That chapter's over, and it's like just about her now, which is still being lesbian, being best friends with her ex.
So like Julia Roberts did this thing where she was like, oh, I'm going to a ranch and I'm an earth mother now, and I'm just like wearing
Raising
big glasses
kids,
and being so shawl and like big blanket. And like any photo I've seen of Demi Moore in the past like 5 years, she's been in like a big native blanket and like big wire rim glasses and being so like, I'm at home. Like I have really good skin and I'm at home.
I don't know. That's my question. It's like, are we seeing Demi randomly in an Amazon show in 2 years?
I mean, okay. Actually, you know what? I take that back because she's so in an Amazon show.
And Julia Roberts did this Amazon show that I started to watch that I couldn't really get into.
Wait, maybe she literally was in an Amazon show and she like weirdly plays like a therapist.
That's just so like
3 episodes.
No, that's the Julia Roberts show.
Oh, okay.
She plays a therapist who's like blacked out for the FBI or CIA or something like that.
Oh no, I know that show. That show was like so Emmy. That's Homecoming.
Yes.
That show's good.
Anyways, started to be into it. Anyway, I feel like I could see Demi doing something like that or like
no. That's too like marquee of a project. That I don't think I think she would be like a character in some random show in like a few episodes. Because she's so like not wanting to dive in. She's so just like, I'll dabble, but I need to have at least like, she's so like I need to be at least to spend 5 days a week at my ranch in Idaho.
But all of her kids are grown up.
Right. Well, with Masha and her brood and the dogs.
Right, and the dog, but Masha's in LA and there's so many like little tiny dogs probably like running around.
No, I know. She's like got like a 4-person stroller for all the dogs.
Right.
Segment vibes. How does she live? How does she eat? What does she wear?
Well, I feel like we just talked about what she wear. It's like she's in 7 jeans, Hudson jeans, tattered.
I mean, she's very early 2000s, like whiskered jeans.
Whiskered Eartha Cafe, big black wireframe glasses.
Beanie, big
her
wool,
classic
knit beanie.
jet black
Oh, wait,
hair.
actually, this is what I wanted to say, though. I feel like in this way, though, she kind of did invent, like, dime square style of just like in her 90s style when she was like dating Emilio Estevez or whatever, or like initially dating Rob Lowe, just being like jeans and looking hot and like a shirt, like a button down.
I mean, yeah, that's also like the 90s. Of
But
just
I mean,
like
in this
Levi's
way, but in
and
this
like,
way where she's just kind of like, her face is kind of plain in this way, but she's still just like really hot.
I actually feel like her face is not plain at all.
But she
I think she kind of
But
has
she doesn't have
this
like
more
big lips. She doesn't have like, some crazy like brow line. She doesn't look like Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? It's like
No, I feel like her face is kind of like sharp, sullen. It's so 70s. Like,
Yeah.
it's like she's been like
it's a lot of jaw.
Yeah, she's these sunken eyes. It's like you can see the pain of the Cadillacs that dropped her off
No, absolutely.
from home to home in them.
Yeah, I mean, you can taste the motor oil.
So I don't think she's like plain boots.
Okay, well,
Like she has like, look at this smile. She has this kind of
love
like
that about her.
bigger smile.
Okay, so maybe she didn't invent jeans. But yeah,
But
her
yeah, I feel
style's-
like she was class because it's Brad Pack. So she's Levi's, it's acid wash.
and because she's always in Idaho, her style's so like big sweater, a lot of dusters.
Yes.
A lot of
Huge
big
dusters.
knits. And I feel like there's this weird thing because it's like, well, okay, she grew
And
up
then in LA, obviously, it's like the most like threadbare, but I feel like she's wearing like a threadbare gray
also
shirt
feel like she
that there's a
is-
peace sign,
Yeah,
like
I
so
think
subtly
she's
on
kind
it.
of attracted to some kind of like native designs and that kind
Well,
of thing.
very-
Well,
yeah.
she's from New Mexico, and so like there is more of a Native American presence there. So I feel like it's like that's where she has like an inkling towards those kinds of like patterns, and
And she might be Native American.
she might have some, very
Warren
Elizabeth
test.
Warren.
Yeah.
Warren test. And my mama,
Yeah.
and my Mima always, when we walked by that photograph, she said, well, your papa has high cheekbones, and that's how we know that you're Indian. So that's how I know that I'm Indian.
Exactly.
She didn't, there's no story like that in this book.
Okay, so
what
how
does
does
she
she...
No, what does she eat?
Oh, what does she eat?
Well,
Well, not much.
Yeah, not got an eating disorder. Well, now that she's like over her eating disorder, is she just being so like...
I think the whole thing is she always like did eat, but I think she was being like, just like, oh, well, I had this one spoonful of oatmeal
Yeah.
and then probably like didn't eat it all.
But is she now just being so LA and going to Squirrel and having
Yeah,
just like the
it's
chicken
Grand Bowl.
salad? Or is she
She's-
being so Idaho and she's just being like, and all my crew came over and my best gay husband, Eric Butterbog,
Butterbug.
came over and he put a big ribeye on the grill.
I think in like Bruce is doing burgers, she's like, Bruce comes over and he makes burgers for the kids, but I feel like she's kind of still snacking on peppers.
I think it's probably hard to really let go of those habits, and she is still snacking.
Like
on
maybe
peppers.
she's having like a chicken sausage.
Yeah, absolutely.
That she's like
the Applegate chicken
yeah,
sausage.
an Applegate chicken. She's like,
or maybe she has a local like she butcher that she really loves.
yeah. I don't think she's getting like a T. Joe's.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's in Idaho. She's going with her best Idaho friend, and they're going to T. Joe's, and they're like stalking him. She's like, the kids are coming this weekend, and she's doing that thing that actually Audrey Hepburn did. Who's
Where she
also
went
an
grocery
anorexic.
shopping?
No, where it's like you're cooking so much, but then you don't eat.
Oh, right. And you're kind of overcompensating for how much you don't eat by how much you do cook.
And she's like, it's Super Bowl. We're making a big she's like, Demi's famous chili.
Huh. All right, we covered. Oh, and how does she live?
How does she live?
I mean, big leather couches. It's lodge style.
Absolutely lodge. We're talking wooden planks.
And she's always, even when she's always like wanted to go to Canyon Ranch, like when she's on vacation. Like she
it's
just
constant ranch.
Yeah, it's constant ranch vibes. It's like antlers, like the full nine.
Tons of antlers. And I think, Pendleton blankets abound.
Honestly, bearskins? Maybe.
Oh,
maybe
I'm
so.
sure. I'm sure she was fucking Ashton on a bearskin.
Yeah.
I wonder if her house has one of those cool, I love this, like it's ski
Wait.
chalets. You know what I mean? Like a loft, like an open second floor.
Yeah, well, in medieval times, they called that a gallery. Is that interesting?
Wait, that's like really cool. I studied medieval stuff in 6th grade, and
You
I never
studied
heard.
medieval stuff?
Well, 6th grade, the theme was medieval
Right,
things,
okay.
and I did a paper on medieval fashion.
Oh. On the buxom ladies of the Middle Ages.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's like medieval fashion. There's actually not much written about it because the style was so just like big sheets.
so, and that's why it's not really much written about it?
Yeah, because it was kind of the most boring time for fashion.
Okay. Well, but unless you're into that.
Right. And maybe that actually kind of more invented the Rachel Comey.
Yeah, because now it's so just like A-line dresses and like things that, like don't have a waist.
Empire,
And just being like, I'm
peasant
lost in
dresses.
fabric. And every girl is lost in fabric in Times Square. I also remember some interview with her, and even her LA house was very like, and like there was like so many poofs, and like it was like sit on the floor, and it was very like rugs and blankets.
Right, and she's playing Mexican
It's-
dominoes
it's
on the
hygge-
floor.
It's hygge.
What's up?
That like Scandinavian word that like every blogger's obsessed with. Hygge. Like Scandinavian word that every blogger's obsessed with. It's like cozy vibes. And it's just like
okay.
hygge for winter. Like sheepskin throws.
Big
comfy,
fireplaces.
comfy baskets. And it's like getting into a basket with your husband.
Tons of hot cocoa.
So much cocoa and fireplaces with my num-nums and my dog. Who are you in the book?
Who are you in the book?
This is
Are
tough. Do you think I'm her mom? Am I that bad?
I was thinking about this earlier today, and I was like, are we
The
Ginny and Danny?
We're Ginny and
We're
Danny.
the parents. We're writing bad checks.
We're writing bad checks. We're getting out of town.
Right, we're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm taking Morgan,
I mean-
but we always come back to each other.
That road trip we took to Atlantic City, we were being very Ginny and
we were like
Danny.
smoking in the car.
Smoking in the car,
trying-
and when I blacked out, and we all had to sleep in the sob overnight.
Because you had a stick and none of us
No
could
one else
drive
could
stick,
drive.
but we still forgave you. And that was also the same weekend. You like basically gave me bed bugs. I should have never spoken to you again.
You really should have. And yet here we
Stephen
are.
picked up a bed frame off the street in the East Village. And I
babe,
slept on it.
You know what? The city had an infestation. It wasn't me, darling. It was everywhere.
Oh, there are decisions to be made.
You couldn't swing a Fendi purse in this town without getting bed bugs.
And we went to a shitty motel. So that was very Ginny and Danny of us. And oh my God, and Bella, who was with us, our friend, was the Demi because she's like thin.
Oh, she was like thin and hot, and I was
Yeah.
like vomiting into a trash can at the Tropicana.
Well, let's figure it out. But
well,
also,
yeah.
I'm like, you're not Zay, but like, you want to be.
Oh God, I wish I was Zay, her fabulous Brazilian friend with like so much access to men and coke.
Yeah.
Well, I was also wondering if I'm like Adrian Lyman or whatever, like that director who's being kind of psycho and was like being so like weird about her weight and being like and like getting the lighting right and being such a like perfectionist.
Oh. Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
That is kind of you like yelling about something and it's like simmer and you're
Right.
being, like
Sometimes I'm
such
kind
a
of
weird,
yelling
like,
about stuff and just being like,
yeah.
like I'm getting so mad at my boyfriend for like not hanging up his coat
And then
or
you're, like,
not putting his
screaming
bag in
then.
the office
And you're like,
being
oh,
just
you're
like
fat.
actually like you're fat and the keys go on the hook.
So that is kind of that.
Maybe that could be me. But I guess that's kind of negative.
I feel like I'm like randomly kind of like Emilio Estevez and like being like steady and understanding.
6-inch dick.
But obviously I'm also
Lily
like
the 6-inch Marauder.
I'm also like John Goodman hanging out of like
That's
the
such a minor
limo.
character, babe. Like, I know that you are John Goodman, like, spiritually.
But am I also maybe like rumor?
Someone who appears just, like, in the most passing reference.
I feel like I'm also kind of rumor because it's like
Big
Gia.
chin.
Well, okay, rude. It's like Gia in a fight with my mom and me being like, sure, I'll still like smoke a bowl with my mom.
Wait, is Rumor the one who gets her high off the Diablo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you are the one who is like, Gia's trying to be a good influencer. You'd be like, it's
No,
okay,
let's
mom.
smoke.
Like, let's smoke.
Yeah.
Your mom is like fully like trying to like be in AA and just like get off alcohol. and you're
I'm
like,
like,
she can
one
be
glass of
triggered
wine
a little bit.
won't-
What's a little bit of trigger? That's fine.
It's Christmas.
That's just a small amount of Christmas trigger.
Our next book, moving on, is
Oh my God. Wow. Our next book is a really iconic read. I don't want to give too much away, but you know her, you love her, you've heard her, you've seen her.
on multiple platforms, TV, movies.
Music.
She's an ex, she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a daughter, she's absolutely a cousin.
She's beyond cousin. She's at the end of the day, she's an American.
Jessica Simpson.
And her book, which is called Open Book. It's
You gotta tune in.
a lot of tears, a lot of laughter, a lot of romance, a lot of
heartbreak.
career ups and downs.
All right, we're giving it away.
Listen, subscribe, rate, review, send to a
Move
friend.
to Idaho.
Get a
Leave
ranch.
Hollywood.
Take some time off to focus on your family and figure out what you really want.
Marry someone a lot younger than you. Doll Celebrity Book Club is presented by Prologue Projects and Headgum. The show is produced by Meg Murnane with editorial support from this hot guy, Andrew Parsons, and this smoking man, Leon Nafok. Engineered by Ferris Monchi. Original theme song by Stephen Phillips Horace. You know him, 68 Woodstock. Artwork by Teddy Blanks. I fucked him at Chips NY. Follow us on Twitter at CBC The Pod. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Leave us a review, hell. And don't forget to tell your friends or your enemies about us.
That was a HeadGum podcast.